Today on In the Woodyard, I'm going to show you how I stay warm working outside, and this ain't it. So I had a request from a viewer, one of you, that wanted to see and hear how I dress each day to stay warm working outside. This is not it. I put lots of layers on. I'm going to show you everything I do every day to stay warm and dry. Here we go. So first off, I don't wear just regular underwear. I try to wear stuff that's not cotton. I try to wear something that's like a poly blend kind of thing, because when you sweat, the cotton does not dry. So that's one of the things I try to do most of the time. Then the next thing I do is I start out with a base layer, and this is called a duo fold. It is a multiple layer shirt. There's the brand name, duo fold. Sometimes I have stuff that's called merino wool, which is a really nice kind of wool to wear too. Sometimes I wear stuff that is this, and this is called Wickers, I believe. Yes, it's Wickers. That's the brand name. Now this is polypropylene mixture with wool sometimes. So this is my base layer I start with. The next thing I do is I put on another one of these. And the reason I wear these first is because it literally wicks the moisture away from your body. I do not wear cotton on the bottom layer. I try to always have on something that is going to wick sweat and moisture away from me. In the summertime, I can find it here. In the summertime, I will wear a cotton shirt because I don't care if it gets wet. I can change it out. Sometimes if I'm cutting, I'll wear cotton, and I'll switch it out halfway through the day because it gets wet and stays wet. It does not dry. But if I'm outside, especially working on the tractor, if I'm stacking wood, if I'm splitting wood, and I'm not developing a big sweat, I try not to wear the cotton stuff because it just kind of holds moisture. So that's what I wear here. The next thing I do is I usually wear, on cold days like today, I wear 2 pairs of long underwear. This is also a pair of Wickers. This is a lightweight pair. So this is the kind of stuff that you would wear, like most people would wear, and they think this is good enough for long underwear because it's kind of lightweight and you can fit it under jeans without being too bulky. And so I put this layer on next, and then I take this layer, go up here, this layer, go down here. And so I've got it tucked like that. Then the next thing I do is I grab another pair of Wickers. Now this is a heavyweight pair, or medium weight. But I also have heavyweight ones too. I also have some polypropylene that I wear sometimes. So what I do is I put this layer on over the top of the bottom layer. And this is nothing new for those of you from the cold country. I've been dressing like this my whole life to try to stay warm. So basically you start to get pretty bulky, but that's okay. The whole idea is to stay warm. So this is the top layer. The next thing we're going to talk about is socks. I almost always, even in the summertime, wear 2 pairs of socks. Now summertime I'll wear a pair of lightweight socks like cotton, and then another pair over the top of that because I want my feet to be able to have the moisture wick away into the cotton, and I want a little bit of cushion. So that's what I wear in the summertime. Now wintertime, I also wear 2 pairs of socks, but usually it's a pair of wool, lightweight wool, and then a heavier weight wool. So that's the next thing I'm going to put on. And I put this stuff on, usually in layers, just like the other ones. So I put this one on, and then this goes over the top, and then I take the next pair of wool socks and put it over the top of that. And yes, it's going to get bulky, and it won't fit in every pair of boots, which is why on my steel toe boots, I get a size, about a half a size too big, so I can get an extra pair of socks in here. And on my big pack boots, which I'm going to grab right over here, these big pack ones like this, these big monsters, I get 1 size too big. So I normally wear a size 11, and these are 12s. And I do that so that I can get a little bit of extra sock in there, because you want as much fluff and as much air in there as possible to stop, oops, I gotta flip this up, to stop the cold from getting in and to keep the heat in. So I do that, flip this down, and yes, it takes a while to get dressed every day. It takes 5 minutes to put the layers on. So there's that, so that's all sealed up. The next thing we're gonna put on is some jeans. So the next thing I'm gonna put on is gonna be a pair of jeans. Now, I have jeans that have some fleece on the inside that are lined, which are really nice. I've worn those. I know some guys wear Carhartts quite often right over the top of their jeans, and they don't do a lot for their base layer, but I find Carhartts are too big and bulky to actually do work in because you can't really move around much. Unless you're just sitting on a tractor, then that's okay. But I like to just wear a pair of jeans. And these are custom jeans that I made myself. I wear Lee jeans quite often. Again, I'm not sponsored by anybody. This is just what I wear. I'm not into name brands all that much. All I want it to do is work. So you can see how bulky this starts to get when you put it up. And you got to kind of fight to get all your layers in. And yeah, you got to pull your long underwear kind of up over the top like this. And you got to retuck your pockets a lot of times because you got all that bulk in there. And then you go to put it on and you're kind of getting puffy in here. So a lot of times I'll get a pair of jeans or two from the winter time that are about one size too big. So a lot of times I can wear like a 32 or a 34 either way a lot of times, but in the winter time I gotta have either 34s or 36s to get the extra bulk. Now here's the customization. When you wear long underwear all the time, this will happen. You get a little ventilation here in this air region. So that happens because it's so bulky that they'll rip on you. I rip a pair of jeans probably once a year. A lot of times I'll rip it in the rear end too, because you got so much extra bulk in there that bending and squatting and stuff, you'll rip them right out. So the jeans are what's next. And now we're gonna start on with the upper layers. The next thing a lot of times I will wear is a flannel shirt or a wool shirt. This is actually a wool shirt. This is a Pendleton. I didn't buy it brand new. I bought it at a thrift store for like $1. And normally these are like 100 and some bucks. But it is wool, very warm, very comfortable. So I like wearing this next a lot of times, but not always. If I'm gonna be doing a lot of chainsaw work or where I'm doing a lot of lifting, I prefer a lot of times to then wear a hoodie. And I like a fleece hoodie, but I didn't happen to have, I got one out in my truck, but I didn't have one in here. I like to wear a hoodie next because then I got the hoodie and there's a certain kind of hoodie I like. I like the pullover ones, which this one is a pullover, which is great. But the bad thing about it is when you start to get really heated up and warm and because you're working a lot, I like to be able to have a zipper so I can open it up a little bit part of the way so you can get some air coming in and maybe get some moisture out. So hoodie is what I wear a lot of times next. And then after the hoodie, I will wear another layer of fleece over the top. So we're going to put that on right now. So here's the hoodie. Now this is cotton, like I mentioned. Again, a lot of times I don't like to wear the cotton. If I do wear a cotton one, I will almost always switch halfway through the day because the hoodie starts to get wet. And the nice thing about having the hoodie is you can flip the hood up. And when you're cold and sweaty, it's nice to be able to pop it up. So the next thing I'm going to put on is going to be the fleece over the top of this. And basically it's, I hope it's up so you can hear me here with the mic. It's over here. There's a lot of layers. So then I put this on and it's already getting warm. So there's that. And again, I've got this I can open and I've got this I can open. I have some other fleeces that zip all the way down too. So this is kind of nice. The next thing I put on to be real warm is a vest. And I've got a couple different ones here. This is a Cabela's, doesn't matter. This is an extra large and normally I wear a large. And it is a down vest. I have to move that mic so you guys can hear me here. Yeah, it's a down vest, which is very warm because that air fluff that you have in there really makes a big difference. So there, that vest is on. And then the next top layer that I put on quite often is I will put on either one of these. This is an insulated quilted flannel shirt that I'll put on. And this is an extra large, so it fits over everything. Or, better yet, I put on my heavy-duty Columbia wool coat. I put that over the top of this, and that is extremely warm, this wool. And so those are generally the layers on really cold days. So I'm going to go back to something else here. This is a fleece jacket that I have, and a lot of times I wear this instead of the hoodie because you get a lot of layers back here and you get so much piled up behind your head that your hat comes off all the time because when you tip your head back, all this is pushing your hat up. And that's what we're going to talk about next. Hats. So normally when I'm working, you'll see me in this hat. I wear a hat 99% of the time because I don't have any hair, my head gets cold, I don't want to get sunburned, and I like having a visor. I don't like wearing glasses, and I don't like wearing sunglasses. I just don't. I don't think I even own any sunglasses. I haven't for many years. So I like the visor though, because I like to keep the sun out of my eyes. So if I'm doing that, a lot of times I will switch out part of the way through the day and I'll switch hats out because I get all soaking wet. So I have a couple different hats to wear. I have several different ones. If it's a little cooler out, I will take a hat like this. This is a Carhartt hat, not that it matters. I will put this hat on, and again, if this one gets wet, I have an extra one. I always have 2-3 hats with me, almost all the time. And sometimes if I'm, well, not sometimes, all the time when I'm cutting, I will either wear just a ball cap underneath, because I like to have the visor again, because the visor on the helmet isn't very good. I like to have the visor on. But if it's cloudy out and it's cold out, I will wear just one of these hats underneath. And I usually fold it up in the front and leave it down, and that way I can get my earmuffs over my ears like this. So I cover my ears because your ears get cold. So that's the layer of hats. Now if I'm not cutting and it's really cold, I will, like I said, I will wear layers. And one of the guys actually on the channel asked me one time, how come I wear 2 hats? Well, I've worn as many as 3 hats in the past. The next hat I like to wear is this chromer. I have a couple different chromers. It's a stormy chromer, for those of you who know. It's a wool hat, very warm. A lot of people that work outside will wear them. And the next thing I will do over the top of that is I will again put another hat over the top of it. So I have double hats. So your head starts to get big, but it stays warm. A lot of heat leaves your head. And when you don't have any hair, it makes a big difference. Now the warmest hat in the world, by far, bar none, is the beaver hat. And that's this one. You guys have seen me wear this before. You can wear it for about a minute if it's around 0, and then you start to sweat. It is extremely warm. You got the beaver fur and it's lined on the inside. Fantastic. You can't hear much with it because it covers your ears. I have worn this when I've gone deer hunting, but you got to pay close attention because you can't hear hardly anything because it does block out a lot of sound when you got it on. But man, is it warm. The next thing I'm going to talk about are my chaps. Now the chaps that I wear, I don't have the full wrap chaps. I have the ones that are just, they literally are chaps. They don't go all the way around the leg. And I prefer these especially in the summertime. And the reason is it's open in the back so you can breathe. So you're not sweating to death. But in the wintertime, they're nice to have because a lot of times I kneel down in the snow when I'm cutting. And this is also extra layer of warmth. The really nice thing about chaps, number one, is that they do work. I have hit my leg with a chainsaw with chaps on, and believe me, they work. I'm going to do a demonstration on that real soon. I've hit my leg twice, like I said. Both times, I know I would have had a wide open cut leg. It hit me that hard when I was cutting brush. So we'll talk about that in another video. But the chaps also are another layer to help keep you warm when you're cutting and when you're cutting and kneeling down or in the snow to help keep your legs dry. So there's that. Next, we're going to talk about boots. I have lots of pairs of boots. I mean, my wife thinks that I must be a fashion model because I have more boots, I think, than she has shoes. But I really like the Keens. I've tried lots of different brands. I've tried Red Wings, I've tried Thorogoods, I've tried Rockies, I've tried Merrells. I've had a lot of different kinds of boots. But I really like the Keens. Number one, because they're made in the USA, for one. Number two, is they work really well. This is a lightweight pair. These are called Logans, I believe. I wear these more when it's warm out. They are lined, so they're somewhat insulated. They do have a removable footbed, or whatever you call it, arch support thingy, pad. There's a name for it. You guys will tell me what it is, I'm sure. So anyway, that comes out, so I can pull it out when they get wet. And I have 2 pair of these, and I have another pair of Keens that are the real heavy-duty ones. I don't have them here today, but they're steel toe, and this is what I wear when it's not super cold. You know, if it's like, say, 20 and above, I can wear these. But once it gets, you know, in the teens, 0 below 0, then I wear these. These are not steel-toed, but they are so big that I think if I hit my foot with a chainsaw, it would take about a week to get to my toes because there's a lot of material here. These are Cabela brands. I bought these probably 10 years ago, and they're considered like a pack boot. And these are supposed to be good down to like 80 below 0, and believe me, they are warm. Now again, like I mentioned before, I wear a size 11. These are 12s. And the way this works is that there is a liner, for those of you that are from warm country, you don't know. The liner is the real big key here because you put that just like a sock over the top of your foot or your socks that you have on. So you do that, and then you slide that into the boot, stuff them in, and then the next thing, you lace them up. And there is a way that I do this. All my boots I lace kind of custom because you don't want your laces to be hanging in the front. You don't want to have big loops. So I like the speed hooks here. So you just kind of go across like this. And I tie them in the front, and I go around the back, and I do a cross in the back like this. I'm crossing it. Then I come back around to the front. Look at how much lace I got rid of, and then I'm going to tighten this up really nice and tight. And I tie knots, and I tie 5 or 6 like this because I don't want any laces. There. Because what happens if you got laces hanging there, they catch on your brush all the time. And then I like to take my pants and go over the top. Some people wear gaiters. That's not a bad idea too. But I take this and I go over the top and I go down as far as I can. So there, that is my boot. Very warm, very heavy duty. My feet do not get cold. I do not have to wear foot warmers because these are so warm. They work just fantastic. So there it is. That's the boots. Next, we're talking about gloves. And it is 10 below this morning. 10 below zero actual temperature. So for those of you in Canada, I'm guessing that's probably, I don't know, what, 15, 20 below, something like that. Cold. All that matters is cold. The good thing is there's not much for wind today, so it won't be too bad. And so then we do the same thing, just come around and get it good and tight. And I start tying knots. And yeah, it takes an extra couple minutes to do this, an extra couple minutes to get them off, but I don't have problems with the laces getting caught in anything during the day, and I don't have problems with the boot coming untied. There we go. There. Now we're going to talk about gloves. So there's one thing I did not mention before about socks. I change my socks quite often. During the middle of the day, I'll come in for lunch, whatever, and I'll switch out my socks because my feet do sweat. And in the wintertime, you want to stay as dry as possible. Same thing for your top layers. If you're working in rainy condition or snowy, especially if it's a heavy wet kind of snow, you want to change out part of the way through the day because there's nothing worse than being cold and wet and miserable when you're trying to get work done. Now we're going to talk about gloves. Now I do have a video on my channel all about gloves. If you go back about a year ago, I think, something like that, I talked about all the different kinds of gloves I've tried over the years, what works, what doesn't work, what I like. And I'm going to do kind of an abbreviated version of that right now and basically just show you why I have a lot of different pairs of gloves. Now, everybody asks me all the time, you know, what's your favorite pair? What do you like? I've tried everything, everything that works. The bad thing is when you're doing firewood, because you're grabbing and you're throwing and releasing it, or you're lifting it, it's constantly being an abrasion on the fingertips. And what happens is, I got a pair here that they start to wear out like this. You start to get holes in the tips. Usually it's these fingers, the middle ones, yes. Sometimes it's the thumb. Sometimes the seams will start to let loose in between here. The best gloves I have found by far, bar none, for me, and I've had other guys that tell me the same thing, are these Kinkos. Our Kinko brand is what it is. They're called Kinko. And the reason is these are pigskin. Pigskin is tougher than cowskin. Cowskin, this is what these choppers are made out of, or mittens, some people call them. It's just a softer leather. They're more flexible and everything, which they're more comfortable, and I really like them, but they don't last nearly as long. Now, another kind of skin that Kinko uses to make gloves out of is goat skin. I heard that's even better. I don't have any. Someday I want to get some. Another hide that somebody have told me about on the channel is Kinko also makes a pair of buffalo hide. And apparently that stuff's really tough too, but they're not insulated. And I work outside most of the time in the wintertime, and I need insulated gloves. Now, I have this pair of Kinkos, I've had, maybe a year or so. You can see if you look on these fingers here, they're starting to wear out a little bit. Sometimes I put on shoe glue onto this area. Sometimes I put duct tape over it just to keep the water out and the moisture out and make them last longer. But I have found the Kinkos pigskin last the longest. Now, you can get some pairs like this pair right here. I think I paid like $22, $23, something like that. It's a heavier insulated pair, and then they have a lighter pair that's not as heavy insulated, and these are only like 13 bucks a pair, maybe 14 at the most. So, but they're well worth it. To me, they last the longest. Now, I've got a lot of other leather gloves I've worn, especially in the summertime. I'll wear just a single leather glove because I don't need the insulation, and I go through those pretty fast. A brand new pair will last me maximum 2 weeks if I'm working outside every day, all day. Sometimes only a week, and the fingertips start wearing out. But I've tried every brand, every kind. I get gloves given to me by friends, family members, whatever, and to try out. Sometimes I'll be in a store and I'll see a pair and like, oh, I should try these out. I haven't tried those yet. Some of the times I will buy pairs and they're like just garbage. They're terrible. Throw them out. And then once in a while you get a decent pair. So there's other pairs of gloves that I have tried and they do work pretty good. But I like the Kenko's the best. There's also Wells Lamont, which isn't terrible. I've tried Carhartt. Carhartt, they're a lot more expensive and they're not any better. That's what I found anyway. I could be wrong. You might have different results. I don't know. Now the reason I brought up the gloves is because you got to wear gloves to protect your hands when you're working. But when it's super cold out, this is what you want. This is a pair of insulated choppers. That's what we call them anyway. They're mittens basically. Yes, you don't have the dexterity, you can't grab as much, but if you want your hand to stay warm, this is the ticket. Like when I'm on my tractor doing snow plowing, I wear the choppers. And there's a wool liner on the inside. Now this doesn't come with it. You got to put this in separate. This is actually a wool liner, and there's actually lining inside of here too. And this is a pair I've had quite a while, so they're getting pretty beat up. If you really want to be warm, there's two other options. You wear this inside of this, and you get yourself a pair of light, thin wool gloves that you wear inside of there. So you have 3 layers. That's another option you can do. And that way when you want to pull your glove off to do something where you need your fingertips, you've got a glove on. I don't have any with me here, but I do have them. So that's one option. Another option is you get hand warmers and you stick them in here. You can get the stick-on kind ones or the ones where you just stuff in. I find the ones that are made for like going into that you wear in your boots, they have actual adhesive. You can stick them right inside of there, and you can basically, on the inside of the glove, you can line this whole area right here, or you can line it on the back. You can put hand warmers in there, so that's another option that you can do. But choppers work great, but they don't last real long. I have a couple other pairs. This is like kind of the medium weight pair. I have another pair that's much heavier duty. They're much bigger, much bulkier, and I only wear those if it's like, you know, I'm afraid I'm going to die in the cold. So that's the gloves. So obviously that is not everything that there is to know about staying warm working outside. That's just kind of what I do on most days. One of the things I didn't mention that I don't have that I see a lot of guys wear, especially guys that work construction, they will wear a Carhartt or a whatever name brand they get coveralls. Some guys will wear the bibs and then a big jacket over the top, and that works really good too. If you see the guys working construction, it'll be kind of a tannish brown color. It's kind of like this color, the Carhartt color. They will wear the coveralls over the top of everything. But I used to have a pair, they wore out, and I didn't really like them. They were so bulky, you can't move in them. I mean, if you're sitting on like a piece of heavy equipment operating it, yeah, that would be really good because you're not walking and lifting and bending and stretching and all that kind of stuff. I move so much that I like the layers because if you put a big Carhartt layer on like that, which is nice, you can't move as well. And when you start to get hot, what do? It's on. You can't really like take it off or open it up. I mean, you could open up the front a little bit, but they're so big and bulky. So I prefer to have layers where I can start stripping stuff off, or I can take my big coat off, take off my vest, put the big coat back on, or take off my big coat and my vest, like, you know, if it starts to warm up, you know, 10, 15, 20 degrees during the day, I can get down to where all I've got on is just a hoodie and a vest, or a hoodie and a fleece. And then when it starts to cool back off later in the day, I can put warmer stuff back on. Having layers is the key. And the more air fluff you have, the warmer you're going to be. I do also have some clothing that has wind stop. I have a couple coats that have a barrier that's in between the layers, and it stops the wind from going through you. I like them, but not if I'm working, because they hold moisture in and you get really sweaty real fast. But if it's windy out, it's kind of nice to have. So that's pretty much what I do. I'm not saying it's the best. I'm not saying I know everything. It's just it works for me. So hopefully you got some information that you can use. If you have specific things that you do to stay warm working outside, let me know. I'd like to know. The only one other thing I can think of that I do to stay warm, right here, a little hair on the face. If you don't have some hair in your face, oh my gosh, you got to pretty much wear some type of it's called a balaclava, I think it's something like that. It covers your face, or a face mask or something like that. You got to wear something because your face will get cold when it's below zero and windy. Having hair on your face is really nice, and that's why I generally like to grow a beard in the wintertime. It just keeps your face warmer, it really does. So that's pretty much everything that I know that I do for staying warm. I covered most of the basics. I mean, there's some other little tips that I probably can bring up sometime, but that's what I do. It works for me. If you got some things you want to let me know about that you do that works really good, or if you've tried, put it in the comments. It'd be interesting to find out what everybody else does, because I know there's a lot of people that are from the Great White North up in Canada that know even more than I do. I mean, Wisconsin gets cold, but you guys get really cold. I mean, for us, 20 below, 25 below is about as cold as it gets here, but you get up into Canada, 40 below, 45 below, that's saying something. So it'd be interesting what you guys have to say. So put it in the comments. So that's it for today, folks. You know what to do. Poke the buttons, hit the like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. Tomorrow, come on back. I'm going to be doing some work. I think tomorrow we've got deliveries to do, so come on back. And get outside and get cutting. Good night, Irene.